So a Pokemon Presents happened, and it mostly focused on mobile apps, with not much focus on console games. They also reminded us that Pokemon Sleep was a thing. They did finally show footage and gameplay mechanics of Legend ZA, and announced a new game similar to Colosseum called Pokemon Champions, which is getting released on mobile, but also the Switch. And that was all, folks. This Pokemon Direct left more questions than answers. Notably, where the hell is Mystery Dungeon? And are you bringing the classic games to the Switch or not? The latter may not even get announced until this time next year, in honor of the 30th anniversary, long after the Switch 2 is already out. As for Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, there hasn't been a new installment in a decade, and the only Pokemon Mystery Dungeon game on the Switch is the Rescue Team remake from 2020. Still no Explorers remake. Hell, I'd even take an HD port of Super Mystery Dungeon over most of these announcements. Apparently, the developers of the Mystery Dungeon series have been working on Shiren the Wanderer 6, which is a game of their own series, but still. The Avenger Squad games still never got released outside of Japan, and it's impossible to get the original Pokemon Rumble, especially after the Wii Shop channel shut down, and there's no other way to get it. This is not the Pokemon Company I grew up with. Ever since Pokemon Go launched almost a decade ago, it was as if nothing that came before it mattered anymore. They barely give a shit about their console games anymore, and are much more largely focused on mobile apps. I remember the good old days when the Pokemon Company actually gave a shit about console games, before the rise of mobile games. Now they're much more interested in mediocre mobile apps, rather than console games. And the only console games they actually have hype for at this time are Legend ZA and Champions, with nothing hinting to another Mystery Dungeon, or even bringing the classic main series games to Switch. We may get another Pokemon Direct at some point this year that will announce the first Pokemon game for the Switch 2. I wouldn't expect them to announce the Gen 10 games for the Switch 2 until this time next year, to celebrate the 30th anniversary. They may not say anything about a Classic Collection until then. If they did a Pokemon Classic Collection, it would have all the main series games that were released during the Game Boy to Game Boy Advance eras. Hopefully they can finally localize Green, which never got released outside of Japan. They can even add online capabilities, which weren't possible before. The Game Boy games can have graphics options, including green screen, gray screen, or color. I doubt they localize Pokemon Green, considering they still haven't localized Mother 3. In a nutshell, the only hype for console Pokemon games right now is for Legend ZA and Champions. Hopefully, sometime this year, they will announce the first Pokemon game for the Switch 2. Have no idea what it could be, though.